No, I'm telling you, Shin Godzilla is awesome. Oh, you think so? I guess we'll have to give it a shot. You know what, let's hear what these guys have to think about Shin Godzilla. Released at 4K, that's awesome!
I know it's a different type of Godzilla movie. I understand that, some people might find it boring because it's a very people-heavy, and I'm okay with that. It's nice to see a different perspective on Godzilla. Godzilla can be very overpowered, especially when there's no enemies to go against. So it's nice to see, the humanity part of it, and I think they did a good job pulling that off. I mean, it's not like -1 type of people-oriented, but I thought it did a good job.
Yeah.
To some people, I get it. It could be kind of boring with all the political stuff, but I mean, that's just how the world really works.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they did a pretty good job of being a creative way to try to defeat him. Godzilla, you can only defeat him so many different ways, and I think the way they ended up taking him down was actually pretty clever. And Godzilla definitely didn't go down without a fight. So if you just think Godzilla's just gonna take it, he definitely will not. I didn't know anything about the movie, so it was very fascinating to see him shoot beams out of his dorsal fins. So that was pretty cool. And it was nice also to see Godzilla actually get blood drawn when he actually got hit by the missiles. Now, personally, I think it's interesting to see Godzilla evolve, but I didn't really like his original form. I thought it was kind of ugly, and I'm like, that can't be Godzilla, can it?
Well, yeah, that's what I liked about it. That's why probably one of the things that had a lot of people like that either love or hate it. And it was just, I liked the different design.
Right.
Even though I like his first design. It's kind of herpy-derpy.
Yeah.
Kind of derpy looking.
Very derpy.
But he was derpy and weird, but I liked it. Because I liked that he was just kind of like sliding around. Because he didn't have the arms and everything. And he had like big fish eyes. And then the gills spilling out the blood and everything. So it was very interesting, even though he looked kind of herpy at points, kind of cute. But then I liked when he finally was able to lift himself up. And then he had the little tiny arms, like a little T-Rex again. And I'm like, okay. And then his fourth evolution form, or whatever they call it, where he looked scarier. And then he had the jagged teeth and the blood all around. The eyes getting more beadier. He looked more like scary and demonic looking. So he looked definitely creepier, more disturbing. He went from herpa-derp to, very creepy. But yeah, that was a different look. And then the whole use of the CGI, where it still looked pretty good. I mean, it's 2016. But obviously, -1, they did a real good job of the CGI to make it look like it was more of a guy in a costume type of look to it. But as you were saying, that's what these ones are about. It's kind of like the original Godzilla movie, not the ones where he started going with the fighting and all the cool kaiju stuff there. It's more of that story about the effects of the nuclear stuff and war and everything and livelihoods and everything. I think it was like, unlike -1 where it had the one focus, I'd say like it's like the War of the Worlds. The original War of the Worlds focused on like the world, even though this was just Japan, but it focused on like people in Japan, all these characters. And then, like, characters from, like, America, France and all that stuff, they're all getting together and then kind of just, not just solely focused, even though there was, like, Yaguchi and other characters that were kind of like the main characters, but then there was a nice spread. And it wasn't just focused on him or any one kind of person. So it's like War of the Worlds, but then Godzilla -1 was like the Tom Cruise one, where it's like, we're going to focus on Tom Cruise and his family throughout the whole ordeal. And -1, while it did have all those other great characters, it really was, focused on one person, basically. So it's different. It's kind of the same, but different. Oh, it's kind of right. In other ways, you silly guy. But, I found that fascinating. I liked, for me, with Shin Godzilla, I was more focused on anything, more just the shots. There was a lot of interesting shots throughout this whole film. From beginning to end, it was like these close-ups, these weird angles, these weird transitions, these interesting, there was a lot of thought put into this movie with just having these artsy the shots. I was like, wow, that's an interesting shot. That's a weird angle. That's interesting. That's a fascinating way of doing this. I was amazed by that. Mostly anything. More than Godzilla's design, anything. I thought it was very I loved it. I loved all those shots. There was a lot of interesting, from a filmmaking standpoint, it was very well, just different than, like, I think you've seen other Godzilla movies, or in other, like, movies nowadays. I think so. I like the shots. Well, there was a lot of interesting, unique stuff in the filmmaking. I agree.
I also thought what was interesting, not only just the shots, but also the way they tried to use the trains and buildings and stuff. I never thought about, like, trying to bury Godzilla. I thought that was creative, and trying to pin him down, because he's like a force that cannot be stopped.
True.
That was a very nice take on it, I think.
Well, yeah, it was pretty good. Like, there was, a nice score again. It was like the Godzilla music, but there's always some good, like, creepy kind of score, and so like that and stuff, when he was getting ready to show off his atomicness and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Yaguchi, I liked the choice after stuff happening with when that first happened, and the aftermath, and everyone all upset and him reacting. The music at that point, I was like, ooh, I was thinking like the old Kenshin OVAs or the Kenshin movie, so I kind of like that. And, I like the English.
Yeah, it's always nice
with Kyoko there. She was awesome.
Yeah.
She was nice. She was nice to see on the screen.
I think they did a nice rounding of the characters. They got male and females doing their parts. So a
good group of people. It was nice. The Prime Minister and all them. Yeah. All the groups in there. Very nice. I like I don't know, it was, slow, and everything, but, there was just a lot there. And it was the, typical, Godzilla does something, you give him a little bit of time for them to talk and do all the stuff, that Godzilla shows up again. So, and he shows up more evolved and more, Godzilla, yeah. But yes, I liked it.
Well, yeah,
Shin Godzilla is actually pretty good. I don't know about if I like it more than -1, just because of that focus of that story, and then him, again, it still makes me think Kenshin, it's like, where you gotta live, and then stuff like that, that whole message and everything. But like I said, like, -1, my favorite movie was always Godzilla 2000, because that was the first one I ever saw, like, an actual Godzilla film. Not the 98 one, but, the first actual Godzilla with my dad, and that was a good movie. I'm glad they re-released it, last year, I think it was like. So that was pretty cool, because we got to see -1. Or maybe it was December or something, like, because remember, it's December of 2023. It's almost 2 years old now for freaking Godzilla -1.
That's crazy.
Or it is, depending on when it was released in Japan. And I'm like, holy crap, 2 years already. And I'm like, wow, so got to see Godzilla -1 and 2000 at the same time. So it was great to see those movies, and Godzilla -1 bumping down that one, I still, but just because of that whole nostalgic reason. But Godzilla -1, damn. This one, I don't know where I'd rank this one there. Maybe somewhere in the top 10, 15, we'll see. But yeah, pretty good. He got damaged.
Yeah. I actually felt for the characters through this film. And that's what kept my interest. That's why I feel like this would not be good for modern audiences. Because people, without the action and stuff, or enough action, people might be bored with this. But I thought the story and the characters were enough to draw me in and kept me. I felt pretty intense throughout the whole movie.
Well, yeah,
I was drawn into.
I like Godzilla -1. So these ones here just keep you, invested in what's going next with this big guy here, what he's gonna do, and the lives he's gonna affect. So that's always nice, and that's why they're both very well done movies, I would say. So that was nice.
What I like about Godzilla, some people might find that constantly having different, like, universes, in a sense of, different movies, telling the origins or such, where it's not a continuous story. I don't mind that, because it gives each one a chance to have a different perspective, and I think that's good about Godzilla. It makes it healthy, instead of being stuck with just one character or a continuous story.
Oh yeah.
So that means, in a sense, it's something for everyone.
Of course, who knows what, with -1 part 2 will do, but,
Wow. Shin Godzilla in 4K for this year? Now I gotta say, that was one hell of a surprise, I must say, because I was expecting it to come out the following year, since Shin Godzilla was released in 2016. I figured they want to do a 4K re-release for its 10-year anniversary, but hey, better late than never, or in this case, an early bird gets the worm, or in this case, an early bird gets the kaiju. So the first time I saw Shin Godzilla was actually in 2016 itself, just when I graduated from high school. And I actually saw it with some buddies of mine, and we're still buddies to this very day. Because right as we graduated from high school, not only did I get to experience my first con, but I got to experience my very first Godzilla movie on the big screen. Because I've been very fond of Godzilla all my life. And Godzilla just has a profound impact on me that will never be forgotten. I mean, hell, you know, I'm glad to be part of your video once again, Jay. Thank you so much for including me once again. I'm glad that I'm wearing the proper shirt for it, and I got my -1 Goji with me to just basically tell you my thoughts of Shin Godzilla. So as I mentioned before, Jay, I watched Shin Godzilla for the very first time when I just graduated from high school, and honestly, like, I just basically thought that was going to be the only release that I would get to see Shin Godzilla. Then fast forward 9 years later to 2025, we get a 4K re-release of Shin Godzilla. When that news dropped on Instagram, I was immediately hype. I was like, oh my god, a 4K re-release of Shin Godzilla? Let's go. I'm 19 years old all over again. I'm going to be able to watch Shin Godzilla again, but this time with better picture quality. The first form of Shin Godzilla never fails to give your boy chills, and since it was the 4K re-release of Shin Godzilla, this was my girlfriend's first time seeing Shin Godzilla herself, and she immediately got chills, just like how I immediately got chills by seeing Shin Godzilla's first form. She looks at me and just goes like, oh my god, that is hideous. That is the ugliest looking kaiju I've ever seen, and quite frankly, I don't blame her, because the first form of Shin Godzilla is indeed disturbing and, quite frankly, also terrifying. The evolution scene never fails to make my jaw drop down below to my knees, and my girlfriend was also shocked that Shin Godzilla can evolve, and she jokingly said to me, is Shin Godzilla a Pokemon? Because he's evolving. And I immediately just started laughing my ass off, because that is exactly the same joke that I made when I saw Shin Godzilla for the first time. And I just basically said, oh my god, Shin Godzilla's evolving? Like, what is he, a Pokemon? Anyways, the action scenes, like, are still thrilling to see. They're not as fun, as exciting as the action scenes in Godzilla -1, but, you know, it's still Godzilla at the end of the day. Godzilla is just a franchise that genuinely makes me happy. And of course, I laughed out loud at some moments in Shin Godzilla, because some moments in Shin Godzilla are pretty fucking funny, if I do say so myself. I'm not entirely too sure if you yourself laughed out loud yourself, Jay, but I know I did, and I know my girlfriend did too as well. Another thing that still gives me chills in Shin Godzilla is, of course, the iconic atomic breath scene. And that is one of the most insane atomic breath attacks I've ever seen, because, you know, you got atomic breath protruding from his mouth, from his back, from his tail. It's like, holy shit. Shin Godzilla don't fuck around, bro. During the atomic breath scene, before it occurred, I whispered to my girlfriend, be prepared to witness one of the most craziest atomic breath sequences you'll ever see in regards to the Godzilla franchise. The Japanese Godzilla franchise, that is. And then after the scene concluded, or after the scene came to an end, that's when she looked at me with her mouth wide open, and she just basically said, babe, are you serious? And I said, yeah. Shin Godzilla does not mess around, bro. Now, I'm not sure where you stand on this, Jay, but to me, I feel like Shin Godzilla is one of the most terrifying designs in regards to the Godzilla franchise. Easily. Definitely one of the most terrifying, especially its first form. Oh my god. Just gives me chills just thinking about it. And towards the end, where we just basically see, like, all these, like, humanoid type things emerging from his tail, that still gives me chills to this very day, and it still scares the ever-loving shit out of me. But nonetheless, Shin Godzilla may not be one of my personal favorites in regards to the Godzilla franchise, but I always love to see Godzilla movies every single time whenever I get the chance. Whether if it's something from the MonsterVerse, I'm really excited for Supernova coming out. I'm really excited for the sequel to Godzilla -1. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where Godzilla goes next. Long live the King of the Monsters. Thank you once again for including me in this video, man. Stay nerdy.
Shin Godzilla, first time seeing it, even though it's from 2016, but then they didn't really play it. I think it was like these limited release-y type things back then that you probably couldn't get to. So it was nice that they did it. So I'm glad they did, and I believe it made, like, over the weekend, it, you know, made like almost 2 million, so that's pretty good. And then just to say with these, you can tell this one had the heart put into it. These movies have heart put into it. So I think we made the right decisions this last week and a half, where we chose to watch you had to. A Goofy movie. Go watch that about the event they had. Big, cool spectacle. Fun little thing like Rocky Horror. It was interesting. Seeing Goofy movie, seeing Shin Godzilla, and then seeing Turtles not once, but twice. Thrice? Back again. And everything, because those movies have heart and passion put into them. Unlike, say, the one night only that was the bottom of the dumpster bin, Red Sonja, which was made by people who disrespect the character and the material and disrespect those who want the actual true character and material. So, I'm glad that's a failure. It's already forgotten, while these will live on. Right, little guy? That's right! So, again, Shin Godzilla, pretty good. Really good. Glad to see it. Hopefully they'll release more. I saw someone showing them having a screen of him versus Destroyer. So I'm like, is this some kind of thing? Was this? I don't know if it was like a Japan thing or something, but release it here. I want to see that on the big screen. Again, never got to. Don't got, you know, so thanks, Godzilla. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Yeah! Woo! Thanks, Godzilla. Thanks, everyone. Let us know what you think. See ya.
Have a good one.
Woo!
See what I tell you, baby. That was awesome. Oh, Godzilla. Oh my gosh. What do you think? Oh, very nice. Oh, you know, you're very nice too there. I love those fries. Gotta have...